everybody, my name is Jason Jagno. This is my truck. I sent y'all a little video yesterday so y'all can see what's going on with it, what it's all about. And we get a lot of questions of, how do you do this, how do you do that, what do you use? I'll pretty much tell you whatever we do, with the exception of our times that we run. We do no time racing, so naturally I can't disclose times. But I did want to make this video to let everybody know kind of the basics of what we have, and I might answer a few questions that you maybe wanted to ask or just felt like you were bothering me to ask. I'm pretty nice, I don't bite. First of all, if we come over here, this is a stock iron block 6-liter truck motor right here. It's nothing special. I do have fancy valve covers on it. They say fake it till you make it, so I was hoping it was going to turn into an LSX one day. It's nothing special. It is basically a shelf West Coast piston, Cali's comp store rod, and we currently have a cheap China crank in it. We just wanted to upgrade from factory, and that's pretty much just the basics. It has a Brian Tooley shelf cam in it. We've had this motor in here for pushing right at 3 years, so it's been beat. We prep race, no prep race, had it on the street. We take it to dinner. I mean, you name it, we've done it. We had it on Pumpy 85. It was on Pumpy 85 for the first 2.5 years of its life. I didn't have any issues with that. We did originally have it carbureted, non-intercooled, so it was a blow-through setup. I struggled with data. I had no way to get data out of this thing. So at that point, I made the decision, instead of buying MSD and the whole 9 yards, I made the decision to sell what I had, buy a Holly. And I'm gonna tell you right now, that was hands down the best thing that we've done. Whenever we went Holly, immediately, right off the bat, changing no boost, no settings like that, other than just correcting fuel, we picked up 3/10 alone. That is huge. If you drag race, you know that is a huge deal. So it has been great to us. We also went air to water, being that we were fuel injected instead of carbureted. Now, once we went air to water, yes, we had the hassle of ice and the whole 9 yards, but it has been good to us. My temperatures at the end of a pass during a hot day, we live in South Louisiana, are in the 80 to 85 range, depending how soon I turn it on. I got to remind myself to turn it on. As far as turbos go, I've tried everything. First off, we had some BorgWarner S366s, box stock. Then I tried some S369s, also box stock, had very good results with those. And what we currently run today is a pair of Force Inductions 7275s, and those are fantastic turbos. They live on 30 pounds of boost. Even if I'm no prep racing, at some point in the race, it's going to see 30 pounds. So we do beat on this thing pretty good. Had zero issues. I mean, absolutely none. It's been great. As far as the header setups on this thing, a lot of US 10 guys, y'all ask me, this is literally a pair of eBay up and forward headers, and so far so good. I've never had any splits with them or anything like that. I had a good friend of mine here locally with Lake area powder coat. Put them in the oven, heat them up, and we put some header paint on them, and as you can see right here, go ahead and show them. It's lasting really good. I can't be happier. So, other than that, it's pretty basic. We do run a pair of precision 46mm V-band wastegates and just some standard twin blow-off valves. Have had zero issues with it. Recently we just tried out some smart coils. I thought I was having some coil pack issues. Turns out I wasn't. But it is definitely a good upgrade. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I noticed the truck starting better, easier. So I definitely feel like it was a good choice. If you come back here, it's pretty simple. As you can see, the front of the truck was open. I do have a radiator. It's bed mounted. I do have a 10-gallon fuel cell. Like I said, we do tend to take this thing to dinner when that allows. Fuel system currently over there you see is a ProStar. It's the 4706, I believe. It's the 750 fuel pump. and I also have an AEM 380 in line as well. So what I do with that is I drive around using the smaller pump, and anything over 75% TPS, the big pump kicks on. It hasn't failed me. I've never had any issues. Like I said, these pumps have been on the truck, and it works great. Right here is a 5-gallon ice tank. The ice tank and the intercooler was built by Justin Bloomer over at NCC, and they did a fantastic job. Everything was self-contained, roll pump, whole 9 yards. Everything came in the way it was supposed to be. The only thing I had to do was plumb it. Zero complaints. It does fantastic. While I'm driving around the street, I just leave some water in it, and if we make some pulls, naturally I'll ice it. The back half of this truck was recently redone. So at the end of last year, we were having some issues with the truck kind of tracking everywhere. In a minute, we'll raise the truck up and I'll show you everything. But for right now, I'm just going to talk to you a little bit and let you know what's going on with it. So at the end of last year, was it the end of last year? Okay.
August.
So the end of last year, we were having some issues with the truck. It was walking all over the place. I do run a true small tire, a 28-10-5, or if I'm on a radio, I run a 275 60-15. I was having to drive the truck way more than I should have, and it was making me uncomfortable. We ended up entering dig night over in Baytown, and that was the final straw. What ended up happening is I started ripping the heim joints out of the ladder bars, allowing the rear end to move, and also I bent the diagonal link in it. So at that point, I decided to reach out to George and James K over at NT Fab, and they said no problem. They said we can get you a set of ladder bars that'll do everything you need, and while we're at it, let's go ahead and put a good rear end in it, and that's what we did. Went over there. George ended up putting me together a beautiful Molly Fab 9-inch housing with some Applied Racing Extreme ladder bars. I mean, these things are kick-ass, and I'm going to go ahead and lift the truck up in a minute and I'll show them. So they did that, and while they were there, they put the truck together, and James and George called me. They said, "Hello, Jason, the truck is flexing in the back." I said, "Okay." They said, "You can't ever get a better 60-foot unless we stiffen it." I said, "Okay, I'm listening." And I built this truck in the garage myself. The entire cage, the chassis, everything I built myself. It took me 5 years from scratch. I bought this truck from a fellow friend of mine that I race and love racing, LJ, for $250 is what I paid for this truck. And I'll go ahead and include a photo so you can see exactly how I bought the truck. So fast forward to now, they wanted to cut the back end off, and that's exactly what we did. If you look right here, you'll see the holes from the old down bars in the roll cage, and this is the new stuff. It looks 10 times better. It is a round 2 back half now. We also went ahead and upgraded some suspension as well, but I'm going to tell you right now, the very first pass after getting this truck back, it went the best 60-foot it's ever done, and that was on the back tire. So I knew we made the right choice. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lift up the truck, and I'm going to show y'all what it looks like underneath. Alright. This is the super badass rear end that George over at NT Fab built me. This thing is kick-ass. I have 100% faith in this thing. It's kick-ass. These are the next best thing since sliced bread. These are built by Yancey over at Viscous Performance. I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't have good shocks on your hot rod or race vehicle or anything that you're trying to go fast on, you are truly missing out. We have picked up, or should I say shaved off, a whole 10th on our 60-foot times just by being able to control suspension the way that you're supposed to be. These are 19-inch pair of double adjustable coilovers that he put me together. It's got Landrum springs on them. He set everything up. I use him solely on setting up my suspension, and let me tell you what, it has paid off. His dad, Ron G, with Afterworks, set up the front shocks on the truck. They were originally a pair of Vikings, and he revalved them the way I needed. And also, perfect. I mean, I have complete control. When you go 2 clicks on these shocks, it makes changes, and you know it. So that was something I definitely wasn't used to, but having those 2 guys in my corner to help out with whatever, whenever, I'm going to tell you right now, is fantastic. You need people like that. So y'all don't hesitate if y'all have any suspension questions or just want to see if they can help you out and tune up your shocks. Please, feel free. Don't hesitate. Go ahead and give a call out to Yancey or Ron G and let them help you out. Let them lead you in the right direction. And I'm going to tell you what, if yours don't need anything, they're not going to just sell you something. They're going to tell you, hey, yours are good to go. It is kick-ass. When I got these back, I got a whole folder back with full dyno sheets on these things. It's awesome. I can't say enough about Yancey and Ron. It is good stuff over there. What you see under here is a Doral setup I have to cool the trans. It works very good. I like it. It was definitely worth it. Right here is the ladder bars that George and James set me up with. They're dirty. We do drive the truck. I haven't washed it, I haven't cleaned it. This thing does get used, so don't judge me. I run a 389 rear gear. I had a drive shaft set up by Drive Shaft Specialties. Been in the truck for 3 years, 0 issues. They've taken great care of me with this. Transmission, built by the one and only Earl Shake Snyder Racing over in Orneville. If you have any transmissions or motor needs, he's the guy you want to go to. I had a Turbo 400 in here, and I tried my best to build it myself. I went round and round and round and round and kept having issues. So finally Earl said, look, let's do you a glide and get rid of those issues, and that's exactly what we did. He set me up with aftermarket case glide, 10 clutch drum, a BT 180 gear set. I have no complaints. It's awesome. I run a PTC 9.5 inch converter. It's a 16.0 right now. It's okay so far. It's doing good. Naturally, we always want to tweak something, but a torque converter is not good for every power range. So if you turn it up, it changes. You turn it down, it's also different. There is no a magical go-to converter that's good for everything. Now, the next step, I would love to step up to a dump setup on the transmission. Also help take some pressure off the thrust bearings. LS motors are known for thrust bearing issues, so I'd like to try and help that where I can. We do make a lot of power. I don't use a special oil pan. I use a Holley muscle car pan. I've had 0 issues with oil pressure drop on the launch, anything like that. So it's worked out pretty good. Up front, you can see these are the shocks that Ron set me up with. You can't see much of it because it is a S10. I have TRZ lower control arms because I had a big wheelie a little while back, and when it come down from that wheelie, it actually bent the T-bars and the shocks, and also bent the lower control arm. So at that point, I need a little better lower control arm, and we switched to bearing mount, which is also a lot stronger. You guys that race and are fast, and also have a little weight on you, please, please upgrade your shocks to bearing mount. Them T-bars are very scary, and they do bend, and I'll go ahead and include a picture of that so you can see what I'm talking about. Right here, it's also another important piece. George X-braced the chassis right here. When I originally built this truck, I'd put some 1/4 inch plate on the frame, and it worked good, and it was stiff, but it still wasn't perfect. So the whole frame is X-braced right here, and it's awesome. If you come up here, this is a TRZ rack. It's a manual steering rack I use on the truck. I did have to cut it down. I was fighting some steering issues pretty heavily, and once I finally cut it down and got geometry right, it worked great. I had 0 issues from then on. So this is a TRZ rack for the S10. I have no complaints with that. It has worked out very well thus far, and I continue to keep on using it. High mile an hour, I don't have a shimmy, wobble, shake, nothing, and that's definitely a good feeling when it comes to racing. This thing weighs 3196 with me in it. It's heavyweight. Real steel, real glass. People give me a hard time about the weight. It's not a lot. Come around here. That's right, that's carpet. That's carpet in there. We have a Holley 7-inch dash setup in it. Run the MPI steering wheel. I have a PPP shifter in it. It's air controlled. For boost control, I use a boost leash, pulse leash setup. I don't go through the Holley. I have a Holley HP, so I don't have a bunch of inputs and outputs. The boost leash has been fantastic. It's a great product. I have zero complaints. I've used it for a long time. I love it. And guys, when we talked about afterworks and viscous performance, these are the stickers right here. So you see this logo? I'm telling you right now, you see this logo on a hot rod? You better have your shit together, because it's going to be fast. Over there is Viscous. That's Yancey. That's got his number down at the bottom. Feel free. Give him a call. Reach out to him on Facebook. They're both active on Facebook. Seriously, they can help your program. Zero issues. Also, Michael Hennessy with Monkey Fab. He has literally built anything that I've asked him to build for this truck. I started using him when I first started this truck years ago. And Michael has been nothing but kick ass. Any ideas I have, he makes it happen. He did that overflow tank over there for me for the radiator, which I'm gonna have her walk around and show you. He engraved the train on it for me. And also, he ended up making a catch can for me, which for years it's worked great now. Right there, that's the catch can he's made. I mean, he goes above and beyond the extra mile. He also carries a lot of turbo flanges in stock. So the current issue with the truck right now is, I'm sure some of y'all follow me on social media and you've seen it on Facebook. We did have some issues with the motor. I did find some buried material in the oil filter. No, it didn't hum a rod out or anything like that. I caught it early. I stay on top of my maintenance, and I caught it earlier. I run E85, so y'all already know the oil gets milky, and I stay on top of it. And here recently I switched to Renegade E112, kick-ass fuel. For those of you wondering, if y'all have any questions about it, feel free to hit me up, and I'll tell you everything that I know about it. But anyway, so I changed the oil, saw some buried material in the filter. And what I did at that point was I shut it down. There's no point in risking it hurting or risk humming a rod out, hurting me or somebody else on the track. The issue with that is we've made a lot of power, and for a long time I've not had motor plates. So as you can see right here, I'd actually already bought motor plates. That was in the plans. Went ahead and hit up Motion Race Works and got a pair of front and mid plates. And I was going to put them on the motor, but naturally I waited too long. So now, what we have thrown together is we're trying to get the ball rolling on doing an LSX 388 cubic inch motor, so we can step up, be a little bit more competitive. Because like I said before, we race small tire. And if you're familiar with Southwest Louisiana or Southeast Texas, or really anywhere in Texas, you know how fast small tires are. Very competitive, very fast, and we've been fortunate and we've done very well with what we have, but now it's time to step up and do a little bit better. I already have a set of Trick Flow 245 heads, 6-bolt heads, so it works out perfect. It's going to work out in our favor. Also, what you see right here is I got this prior to finding out the motor was hurt, so this will be a nice addition to the bigger motor. We would have needed it anyway. Is a complete setup from Robert Ett. This is a Waterman 9.5 pump. Spoke with Robert back and forth many times. I'm going to tell y'all what, if y'all ever need to talk to anybody about any cable or belt-driven pumps, I highly recommend Robert. He was nothing short of fantastic to me and helped me out and answering all my crazy questions. He has business, AEI. You see it right here. It's cut into every one of his brackets, and it's a pretty cool little logo. I like it. But he basically set me up turnkey. He gave me a pump. This right here is actually an alternator bracket to mount with the front motor plate setup. This is everything I need for the pump to mount on the side of the motor. This is actually the pump. Once everything's set up, then I'll take a measurement for the cable, and he'll go ahead and get me fixed up on the cable. But he literally set me up turnkey. Filters, everything you need, regulator, the whole 9 yards. So like I said, y'all have any questions or anything like that and want to step up to a fuel system, please hit up Robert. He's going to steer you right. I mean, he's been answering my questions for literally almost 2 years now until I finally had pulled the trigger on getting a serious fuel system. The reason we did this is, no, my pumps didn't fail or fail to keep up. The problem is the draw on my electrical system. I didn't like it. But it was time to take the strain off of it. This is much more reliable and supplies every ounce of fuel you need. The chance of this failing is far less than these electric pumps nowadays. It's crazy. And I'm still on a 12-volt system, so I'm not on a 16-volt system. So that's why we did this. That's the story on the motor. I don't have any updates on that yet, unfortunately, but I'm hoping by the end of the year we'll be back up and going and able to get some more footage of some races. But for now, I just wanted to let y'all know what's going on with the truck and what all I run. A lot of people ask questions, and I'm pretty open about it. The only thing I won't tell you is what the truck runs, and that's because of the type of racing we do. If it ever comes to a point where everything in this area goes to clocks on racing, then without a doubt I'll light up the board. I have zero issues with that. I'm actually very proud of how well the truck is ran and have big hopes for how well it's going to run. So, with that being said, stay tuned.